Welcome to channel Qtomation. In last session, we have seen how to handle radio boxes. What are the different methods we can use with radio boxes? What are the assertions we can use with radio buttons? In today's session, we will see about one more type of web element, that is checkboxes. So, whenever we select radio button, we can select only one option at a time. But in checkboxes, we can select single item as well as multiple items as well. So this is a list of checkbox where it is showing my favorite colors. I can select red, I can select yellow, I can unselect any options as well. So that is the basic difference between radio boxes and checkboxes. In checkboxes, we can select multiple or even single option also. So in today's session, we will see different actions like selecting a checkbox, unselecting a checkbox, selecting multiple checkboxes, or let's say selecting all the checkboxes and then unselecting all the checkboxes, how to check if particular checkbox is already selected or not, and we can put some assertion on that condition as well. So let's start practically. So let's create a new file. I'm naming it as checkbox demo.spec.js. So we have created a file, a spec file. In that we have to again create a test block. I'm just copying our last session's code. I'm just pasting it here. I'm removing some part of the code. So we are going to use the same website which we used for radio buttons. This is the website which will be launched. And this is our basic syntax. I'm just naming the test case name. Let's say checkbox demo. So this is the test case title. Then we have async keyword, anonymous function in which we are passing the page fixture, and then we are writing await page.go to the URL which we want to open. After opening this URL, what is the first step I want to do? By default, no checkbox is selected. First, I want to select orange checkbox. I want to select this orange checkbox. For that, I have to first identify this orange checkbox. So I am just identifying this. Tag name is input, type equals to checkbox. So let's try to write an XPath for that. Input is a tag name, @type is attribute, equals to checkbox. Now if you see, it is highlighting all the checkboxes. So this XPath is highlighting all the 6 elements. Which element we want to check? Orange. So we can check if there is any specific value which is only for orange. We can see value equals to orange. So in the same XPath, I can put the condition as well. So in this same XPath, I am just using @type equals to checkbox. After that, I am putting one condition, that is AND condition. @value equals to orange. So I am just using another attribute with AND condition. So if both these condition matches, then only that element will be located. So now if you see, it is highlighting only single element, that is containing orange. So this is again type of XPath which we can use. So I'm just copying this and now I'm just going back to my code. So next step is await page.locator. In this locator, we have to pass the XPath which will capture that orange checkbox, and then to select that checkbox, we can use dot check method. We can use dot check method that will eventually click that checkbox. After that, I am just waiting for 5 seconds. 5000 milliseconds means 5 seconds, so that we can see that checkbox is getting clicked. Now I am just saving this file, and in terminal, let's execute this file to check whether our code works correctly or not. So I am just starting a new terminal. What is the command to execute the file? Npx playwright test. What is the file name? Checkbox underscore demo dot spec.js hyphen headed for UI mode hyphen project equals to Chromium. So now let's execute this file. So it should launch the web page. It will select this checkbox. It should select orange checkbox. So it is launching the web page. It is launching the web page, and if you see the browser which is getting launched, it is not full screen browser. It's still in kind of a minimized state. It is not full screen stage. So for that purpose, now if you see checkbox test case is passed, but we are not able to see that. It actually got passed. It also checked that checkbox, but we are not able to see it. So what I will do, I want to maximize that window. So whenever we are going to execute this test, I want it should be in maximized state. So for that, what we have to do is, if you see this file playwright config.js, we have to just go to this playwright config.js file. Inside this playwright config.js file, you will see different options here. In the project section of playwright config.js file, in project section, you are able to see name Chromium, that is for Chromium browser. There is a use option. Inside this use block, if you see, this is use block starting with here and it is ending here. Currently it is having this single option here. Here we have to paste some additional options or configurations, we can say. So I'm just copying this additional configuration. Basically, once you add this configuration, it will open the browser in maximized state. So I'm just copying these options. Let's go to config.js file. In projects folder, project section, there is a use section in this. In this use section only. So if you see, use section starts with here, it ends here. So after this option, I am just pressing enter. I am just pasting this configuration setting. Then I am saving this. And now if I execute the file again, now let's execute the file again. It should launch the browser in maximized state. So let me just execute the file one more time. So let's execute this file. Now this time it will open in maximized state. So it is starting the browser. It is starting the test case. It will open the window in maximized state. Now if you see, it is opening the window in maximized state. Then if you see, now orange button is selected. Orange checkbox button got selected. Now that is successfully passed. That successfully selected orange checkbox. Now what I want to do is, along with orange, I want to also select blue button. I want to select orange as well as blue. So what thing we have to change? So what I will do, I will just copy this. Let's copy it. Press enter. and in X path I just have to enter value of blue here. So let's save this file and let's execute this file. So this time it will select orange as well as blue option as well. So it will select orange and blue, both the checkboxes. This will select orange as well as blue checkbox as well. If you see, orange and blue, both the checkboxes got checked. After 5 seconds, it is closed. So that is for selecting single and multiple checkboxes. Now my next use case is, I want to uncheck that checkbox. Whatever checkbox I have selected, I want to uncheck the checkbox. So I want to only uncheck the orange checkbox. So if these two steps are checking the checkboxes, I want to, after the 5 seconds, what I want to do, I want to again uncheck the orange checkbox. So I'm just copying this statement. Let's press enter. And instead of check method, now I want to uncheck it. So I'm just using, this is the locator of orange checkbox. Then we can use one method, that is uncheck method. So uncheck method will uncheck that checkbox. So it will uncheck the orange checkbox, but blue checkbox will be in checked state. So for that we can add some assertion as well. So we can add assertions like await. Expect function is used for assertions, and in which I want to check two things. I want to check, after unselecting the orange checkbox, I want to check if that is in unchecked state. So for that, what is the assertion we can use? I'm just copying this locator. I'm just passing it in expect function, and then we have to check it is to be checked. So if I use to be checked, what it will check? So it will check if that orange button is checked or not. But in previous step, we have already unchecking it. So instead of to be checked, because it will return fail, this assertion will fail. If I keep it like this assertion will fail, because this locator in previous step it is already unchecked, and then we are checking whether it is in check state or not. Then it will fail the test case. So for that, which assertion we have to use? We have to use negative. So dot not dot to be checked. Now this assertion will pass. It will check whether this specific locator, which is for orange checkbox, it is in not check state. So this assertion will pass this time. And we can also check now for blue checkbox, which is in check state. If you see, blue is previously checked, so it is in check state. So I can simply use assertion like this: await expect function, in which I have to pass the locator for the blue button, blue checkbox. I'm just passing that locator here, and then I have to check whether it is in check state or not. So for that we can use to be checked method. So if this locator is in checked state, then only this assertion will pass. So this will pass. This assertion will pass, and above that, whatever assertion we have added for orange checkbox, where we are checking whether it is in not check state, that will also pass. So both this assertion will pass this time. So let's save this file. I am just saving this file. After saving this, let's execute it and let's see our validation works correctly or not. So it will launch the browser, it will select orange, it will select blue, it will wait for 5 seconds, then it will uncheck the option of orange, and then it will check if that orange option is unchecked or not. It will also check if blue option is in check state or not. So both the validation it will check, and if both the validation are passed, then only the test case will pass. If you see, blue and orange got checked, it will wait for 5 seconds, and then it will uncheck the orange, and then it immediately checked whether it is in unchecked state and blue is in check state. So that's why the test case got passed. If you see, that's why test case got passed. Let me add some additional timeout as well. Await page dot wait for timeout. I am adding let's say 5 seconds. So this is how we can check, we can uncheck, we can use assertions like to be checked. If you want to check if specific checkbox is in not checked state, then we can use assertions like not to be checked. Now we will see one more option, one more way. Now I want to select all the checkboxes. Now what I want to do is, I want to select all these checkboxes. Then how we can select all the checkboxes? So let me show you. We have to use for loop. So I am just going back to my code. Let me comment this code. So we are launching the web page here. And now I want to select all the checkboxes. So for that, what I have to do is, once you go to this page, we have to find out the XPath for this checkbox, which we have already found earlier. I'm just removing this @ value equals to orange condition. So now if you use only this checkbox, it is highlighting all the options. If you see, it is highlighting all the 6 checkboxes. So we can simply use this XPath, which is capturing all the 6 checkboxes. Then I will just write, or let's say I'm just creating one constant, let's say colors equal to await page dot 2 times dollar symbol, because we are capturing multiple elements now. So I'm just passing that XPath here. So now multiple web element handles got captured in this colors constant. Now from this we can use for loop. We can fetch one web element at a time, and then we can click on that, or we can check that option. So now I'm just using for loop. Inside this for loop, let's say I'm just using let variable for single color of colors, and after that, this is the for loop. And in this for loop, what we have to do, color dot click option. So one by one we are fetching every element from these colors, and then we are just clicking on that color option. So it will check all the checkboxes one by one. And after that, let's add some timeout, which is already there. So now let's save this file and let's execute this file and to see if all the options are getting checked or not. Now it is launching the web page. If you see, all the 5-6 checkboxes got checked. So this is how we can check all the checkboxes. Now what I will do, I want to uncheck all the checkboxes now. Whatever checkboxes we have selected, whatever checkboxes we have checked, now let's say I want to uncheck all of those options. So again we can simply use for loop, another for loop to uncheck the checkboxes. I'm just noting it down, to uncheck all checkboxes. I'm just pasting that for loop here. So instead of click, so we have seen we can also use click method, or we can also use dot check method as well. So anything is fine. So we can use check or click method, but for uncheck, again I'm just using dot uncheck method. So here I'm just using dot uncheck method. So now it will one by one it will uncheck all the checkboxes. So in first for loop we are checking all the checkboxes, and in next for loop all the checkboxes are getting unchecked. So first one is for to check all the checkboxes, and next for loop will uncheck all the checkboxes. So now let's execute this file. So let's execute this file. It will uncheck all the checkboxes one by one. So it will launch the browser. It is launching the browser. It will first check all the checkboxes one by one. It will wait for 5 seconds. And again, all the 5 checkboxes should be automatically unchecked. If you see, all the checkboxes automatically got unchecked. Let me just execute one more time by adding some wait again. So after unchecking, I'm just adding 5 seconds wait. And let's execute one more time. So it is launching the page. It will launch the browser. It will open that URL. After opening that URL, it will select all the checkboxes one by one. After 5 seconds, it will again uncheck all the checkboxes one by one. It will wait for 5 seconds and it will close the browser. So these are the different options by which we can select the checkbox. We can uncheck the checkbox. If you want to select some specific checkboxes, then also we can use by using their locators, and we can check multiple checkboxes as well. Along with that, there are some methods like is checked, which we have already seen previously for radio buttons as well, that works similarly for checkboxes as well. So that we have already covered in our previous session. So is check method will return true or false. If you are using or if you want to check if any checkbox is in already check state or not, we can use is checked method. So if you use that, it will give you true or false. And then depending on that, we can perform different operation. For example, if you have to uncheck a checkbox which is already in check state, then you have to first check whether it is in check state or not. Then only we can uncheck it. So for that we can use is checked method. So this is a simple demo of checkboxes handling. In the coming session, we will see some more interesting topics of Playwright.